Summer McStravick, and welcome to Money Intuition, where we get to explore the minds and the thinking of some really successful women who've used both their intuition and their know-how to create sustainable, financially abundant, and self-created lives. So my guest here with us now is Carrie Murphy, and she podcasts The Carrie Murphy Show. Her latest book is Create Change Now. At least I think that's your latest. If not, you'll tell us. Yes. And you help people become soul-driven, conscious creators. So you're like right up my alley. She's also someone who creates constantly in her own life. And her self-growth and her self-worth keep increasing. Because I know, because I've been watching Carrie for years. I've been getting her newsletter. You're easy, actually, because there's so much information in it. And sort of following what you've been doing and how you've been growing and changing. And I'm so excited to finally get to meet you and talk with you.
Me too. Me too.
Okay, so when we go back though, years, when you first started moving into your line of work, your life, your calling, everything, I know you didn't always do this, and you had a kind of transformational experience. So let's start with that. What happened? I think it was in 1997.
You're right. In 1997. Prior to that, I had gone to school for counseling psychology. Mm-hmm. So I was the traditional route, which was great. But then I had the near-death experience in 97, and it really shook things up, as you can imagine. And I looked at things very differently. And I was able to remember a lot of things about why I was here. And it just took me on a little bit of a different route. Mm-hmm. So I moved away from traditional psychology and it led into what I call now soul success coaching. Mm-hmm. So I still incorporate a lot of the things that I learned back then, but with all of these new modalities and new things, and also with the intuition. Mm-hmm. Which you speak a lot about, because with the near-death experience, I was able to now hear, see, sense, it was a whole new world that opened up. So I could read energy in a way that was heightened. And so I incorporate that into my coaching and everything, into everything that I do. So it was always a passion to learn about life and people, but it really expanded after the near-death experience.
So when you made that transition in your mind, in your thinking, was it, oh my gosh, I can't do anything else? Or did you kind of struggle with it a while? Did you think, oh, what am I going to do with this now? What went on inside you as you shifted into, because I know people in the medical community, psychology, education, there's a lot of communities where you start to break the box and you're out, you're out of the boys club, you're out of the girls club.
Yes. No, it took a little while to integrate everything, because I was put to bed for 6 weeks. And during that time, all these downloads were coming through, and I was writing about things that I didn't know I knew about. Yes. And so it took me a while to really introduce a lot of those things to even my family at the time. It was so different from traditional things, and this was back then, but you can imagine even now it's still a little woo-woo to some people, the energy work that I do, but not so much anymore. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I mean, it took a little time to integrate all of these things and put them into practice with my business. In fact, I've only been doing the life coaching, or calling it that, because I got certified as a coach as well, and a business coach. And so I blend a lot of different things together, but that's only been about 8 years. Okay. So it took a little while, because I wasn't telling people what I learned, but I was just practicing it.
The sneaky way of doing it.
And people could see that I had changed, and so certain people would fall away from my life, and new people entered, as that happens to everyone as we evolve and grow and expand. And so, but at first it was scary, and it still is sometimes. I mean, sometimes, a lot of the new things or downloads I get about energy and all these things, they're not traditionally spoken about in the corporate world.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of business coaching, but they're so responsive to it, you know, and that's what's exciting when you see people really take some of these energetic concepts and we make them practical. That's fun and that's exciting. And the main thing for me is making it fun and exciting. You know, one of the main things that I shifted into was, you know, having fun with this. You know, when I really, really became successful as a coach and in speaking in this way after the near death was when I just decided I'm not going to do it step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I'm just going to have fun and I'm going to allow my creative insights to come through and lead the way. And I think that's the real key. And that's what I like reminding people of is do what makes you happy. You know, it's simplifying things because far too often we complicate it, right? And then life is no fun. Yeah. And we're stressed out and all these things. And so the main thing that I like to remind people of is what makes you happy. You know, you don't have to go quit your job. You don't have to, if you want to, great, that's an option. But, you know, start doing more of what you love. Because when you start to do that, the insights come, the synchronicities happen, the people enter, the opportunities happen. And that's what makes this kind of work fun and more expansive. And it makes me enjoy it far more than I did years ago.
Yeah. I think a lot of what you're saying, the undertext is about trust.
Sure.
Trust.
Sure.
You know, when you say do what's fun, people will say, well, I could do that on the weekends, but I can't do that for a living.
Well, that's why you incorporate it a little bit each day. I tell people if you're not doing what you love, what is it? First of all, you have to identify. What is it that makes you happy? What is it that you're passionate about? Identify that. And if you're not doing that, incorporate it into your life at least 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day. Let it seep into your reality a little bit more. And as you do that, things will start to shift and change. You'll start to feel better, lighter. You'll get more insights. Your health improves. Your relationships improve because you're doing what fuels your soul. That's what, you know, it's about leading with your soul. That doesn't mean, you know, don't take care of your responsibilities and go sit in your room and meditate all day. It's not that. It's just take some time for yourself and start to incorporate what you're passionate about. And that goes for people who already have businesses. You know, to go to the next level of success, it's really important to incorporate joy into your day. You know, not just the to-do list. You know, 1 through 10, let's check all these things off, and then, you know, I did it, but now I'm drained.
Yeah.
You know.
So what do you if you're counseling someone, because you coach people and you talk to them about how to develop this in them, where do you start when it comes to their financial lives? Do you look at debt? Do you look at their relationship to money? Do you look at their relationship to themselves?
I think it's a combination of all of that. It's really important. Usually I can read their energy, but it's a matter of listening to them speak and communicate. I can determine a lot in one session, just hearing the way that they communicate, because it makes it evident to me what their beliefs are about themselves, about their lives, about abundance and prosperity, about what they feel they deserve. Also, a big thing is I'll hear how hard they believe it is to experience.
Oh boy, I know. I know all about that one. Oh, it's hard. It's hard. It's like, what?
It takes hard work.
Stop that.
Yes, it's all of those things. So I start by identifying some of those things, and then it's really teaching clients how to become aware. First of all, become aware of how you're speaking. What is it that you're what are you most consistently saying about yourself and your life, about your job, about money? Because that's really, really creating your financial reality. And so it's important to first become aware of what you're creating. You know, what are your most predominant thoughts, your emotions surrounding this, and the beliefs. And one of the greatest things that I have learned that I'd like to share with clients is changing beliefs doesn't have to be this long, arduous, process that takes years. And, it's really about, let's identify what they are and let's decide to create new ones. Let's update them so that they match who you are and what you are.
People hold on to beliefs because they're supposedly true. And how do you, and it's, I think, if you just say, oh, let's update that. People will say, well, okay, but how can I go from something that's true to something that's not true? How can you tell me this new thing is true when I believe that thing is true? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's a real effort, a little effort involved in that.
Well, but it's also realizing if something is true, it's only true because you're saying it's true. It's just a perspective.
Exactly.
It's just, and you can easily, and if it's not making you feel good, if it's not really aligned with who you are as an individual, as an adult, perhaps it's something you've carried along, since you were a kid, you can determine if it is true for you now by the way you feel. If it doesn't make you feel good and if it doesn't inspire you, maybe it is time for an update.
Yeah.
And it can be that simple. I really like to simplify it. It's not going to take years to create a new belief system, and it doesn't mean you have to let them all go. No. It's just about, well, maybe it's time just to refine this one so that it matches and aligns with the reality that I want to create. The financial reality, the emotional reality, the spiritual reality. Because what we say and think and do and feel creates what we experience. And as we change that, I always tell people it's about the inner creating the outer. And you talk about this too. And that's what, to me, soul success is taking accountability and responsibility in a fun way, in an empowering way, and realizing that every day, every moment is new, and if we don't like what we created yesterday, we can create again, and not in an overwhelming way, but, anything is possible if you believe it is. Anything, it's just expanding our perspective, too. I think that's a big thing that I talk about that seems to make a big difference for people, because if their perspective is this small and they're walking around in a little box and they're bumping up against it and they're frustrated, clearly, right? And so it's like, okay, well, let's push those boundaries out and let's create some room here to experience something new.
I think that's key. What you just said about increasing your perspective, because you often don't know that you're in a small perspective because you simply can't see out of it. It takes someone, it takes a coach or a best friend or even like a horrible job situation or a horrible relationship to make you, stop and look and say, oh, my perspective is small. And it's not like you break out of it one time, you keep breaking out. You get to a certain point and then you go, oh, my perspective is small again. Then you keep moving. I'm sure you have examples in your own life where obviously if you know this, you've felt it, you've discovered it, and that's why you're teaching it.
Yes. Well, expansion never ends. That's the beautiful experience of life. That's why we're here. So it's just more. And that's when you get into that space where you relish that, that's when it gets fun, and that's when abundance flows into your experience, because you're enjoying life and you're enjoying the expansion process. You're not just limiting yourself, with beliefs about what you think is possible, and you just continue to expand and you have fun with it.
So, okay, speaking of abundance, it's kind of a beautiful blanket term. I wish there were like 5 other words I could use for abundance and prosperity, Unfortunately, English doesn't have enough words to describe all the ways that you can feel full in your life. But when you're working and you're teaching somebody or you're, trying to experience it in your own life, do you feel that abundance has an energy, that money has a personality, that there's a relationship you can cultivate? And what's your perspective on that?
Yes.
That's worked for you.
Yes. It's realizing that money really is a frequency. It's a vibration. And so what I have learned for myself, which is what I teach clients, is that as I look around me and notice abundance in everything. That means I see abundance everywhere, an abundance of beauty, an abundance of joy, an abundance of everything. That is abundance. Money is one avenue, one aspect, one reflection of abundance. And when we begin to notice it in all other areas, the money starts flowing in because it's a vibration, it's a frequency. And once we tap into that and start dwelling in that space, it can come in from all the different angles and avenues. And that's what's so beautiful and exciting. And that's why I remind people, take the time to look around you and notice the abundance. You know, go put your feet in the grass if you can, depending on the weather, or just go look at the stars or the trees, or just look at the abundance around you, the love, the joy. And as you start to do that and really appreciate that appreciation appreciates, you know, then abundance appreciates in your life. And so that's a huge point for people to consider is expanding their definition of abundance, because money is one aspect of it. But I assure you, once you start to see it in all areas of life, the money part of it begins to just flow in. It's just easy. There's a fluid motion of giving, receiving. It's a beautiful thing, and you're not trying hard. You're not chasing after it. It just flows into your experience.
So what happens when you have a goal, have a desire, maybe it's a financial desire, maybe it's something else, and you start to encounter some sort of struggle or resistance? What do you do?
You keep going. You keep going.
You know, that one thing you wanted to have happen, or that, you know, thing you were expecting and it didn't, or, you know, something along those lines.
I get that, and I think that the most important thing is look a different direction. Sometimes it may not come in the way that you think it's going to, but don't let that get you down, because usually it will come in another form. And one thing I like to remind people of is open your mind to all kinds of possibilities about abundance, about opportunities, because sometimes life will surprise you. Because when you think it has to be a very specific way, you're limiting yourself. And so when you set an intention or a goal or an idea about abundance and success, be open to how it may come. Because when you're more open like that, you might just be so amazingly surprised that it's 10 times better than you could have ever imagined in this one particular way that you thought it was going to be. So I would just say, just look at it, open another door. You know, when that happens, know that tomorrow, if you stay in that space of positive expectancy and everything's going to be fine, it's your energy that will allow for new doors to open. If you know, in that moment, if you shut down and say, that's it didn't work, I give up, well, you know what, you're also closing off the door to other opportunities and other ways for things to manifest in your life. So use that as, just celebrate that. Well, that's not the door that was meant to open, but you know what, there are 10 others. And as I stay open to that, you know, it'll happen. So
it sounds like it's partly about being optimistic, but it's more than that. It's actually being in that space. It's not just hoping for that space. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a difference that people have to reach an understanding of. It's not fake optimism.
No.
It is an expression.
Yes, it's a chosen state of being. And it's a consistency. It doesn't just happen. This state of being is something that you practice. You know, you wake up and it's gratitude, it's joy. It's a practice state of being. But it gets easier and easier and easier. And your health improves. Everything improves because, you know, it really does impact every area of your life. So it's not just optimism and just looking at things on the bright side. It's really a state of being. And then it's following up that state of being with action that is inspired, that really aligns with how you're feeling. You know, it's not just thinking positive thoughts, and it's really from that state of being, taking the ideas that come through or the opportunities that show up, take action on them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the crucial component is inspired action.
What would you tell someone? I know I'm just throwing a whole volley of questions just because I want to know how you think, you know, what you talk about, what you've done yourself. Mm-hmm. What would you say to a person who says, I've done well, I'm pretty happy, mm-hmm. but I'm kind of at a certain level, and
mm-hmm.
I can't get beyond it. You could say I'm stuck, but I just feel like there's something more. I feel like I've hit a ceiling. Well, how would you work with someone to expand them? Because self-growth equals financial growth, right? And career growth or any kind of growth. Well, how do you help them bump up to that point, that next level?
Well, clearly that's your soul telling you, hey, it's time for change. This is time for celebration. When you feel that way, you are right there. You're ready to just expand. So first of all, celebrate that. Mm-hmm. Don't see it as a negative. This is a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. And then I would just say, do more of what, take some time, you know, whether you meditate, you don't have to meditate in a corner in your room, but get outside, clear your mind so that new thoughts and ideas can come through that will guide you to the next step. Mm-hmm. That's what I have found, and that's what I encourage my clients to do, is get quiet enough so that you know the next steps to take, because synchronicity will guide you and lead you if you're clear enough to allow for that. Yeah. So celebrate those moments when you feel, quote, stuck, because that just means, wow, you are ready to take off. You're ready to go to the next level. Mm-hmm. And if you stay open to that, you know, emails will come in from somebody, a new opportunity will appear, and you'll go, oh, that feels perfect. Act on it, move forward, and it can be that simple.
Yeah. I like that. I like that feeling that you should celebrate when you're kind of chafing at the sides of your box. Well, it's because you've grown to the side of your box. What do you expect to feel?
Your clothing for that level of your journey, mm-hmm. and it's time to put on some brand new clothes, so to speak, and expand and celebrate that. Yeah.
So you mentioned, because we're getting towards the end here, you mentioned what you do today. You help people in this regard. You help them discover, find themselves. You coach. Yes. Did you want to say anything about that? I know that your website is up there for everybody, CarrieMurphy.com.
Yeah, sure.
What are you doing now with it?
Well, I coach a lot of business owners at this point, and it's really taking them to the next level, to have fun and enjoy that process of financial abundance and spiritual abundance, and it's blending the two. I love that. Yeah. I love that. So I love working privately with people. I do offer seminars and courses and do speak about it, and then, you know, I have the radio show every Wednesday. Yeah. So it's just different, you know, different avenues of sharing the same messages. But I do love working with people privately and with groups. It's just any way that I can connect with people, and it's really about reminding them of what they already know, and it's being a support that says, you're doing great, you're okay. Is people just need a little bit of support, and they need to be reminded of their potential. They need to be reminded that it's okay to do what makes you happy. It's okay. In fact, that's why you're here. That's your birthright, and your family will just thrive when you start to thrive. And I love what I do. I'm so blessed to do what I do.
I can tell. I can feel it from you all the way through the Skype waves. All right, Carrie. You have a little something you want to give out to people that they can start working with to increase the abundance in their own life. It's a gift. You can just download it right from your website. I believe it's two things, actually, 2 downloads that you have. Let me see here. I'm going to check my notes. The Abundance Beyond Measure, and there's a meditation as well for detoxing that you're going to provide.
Blending the inner and the outer. So it's inner worth and outer wealth.
Yes.
To combine the two. So one is an MP3 about generating abundance as a guided meditation. The other is a detox meditation, which helps the inner. So we kind of blend the two so that you can experience both. But it'll give you a taste of what we're talking about now, but take it to the next level a little bit.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carrie. It's been a pleasure. It's been a wonderful interview. You have a wonderful ability to make people feel so, very positive, and just, it's like your brightness. I can feel it. I'm sure everybody watching feels it. You transmit a feeling of, it's all okay. Really, it is. It's really all okay. I love it.
I love like saying just a mantra, every day gets better and better, and it really can, and things get better, and I'm living proof of it. I don't share anything that hasn't worked for me, so.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Yeah.
You have to, you really have to have tried it and been there, and then you can start to share it out in the world, just like you are doing. So everyone, CarrieMurphy.com. Look at her right there. It's on the front of your screen. Go visit her and grab those MP3s while she has them available. I don't know how long everything will be up for, so go take it while you can, okay? Thank you.
Oh, this has been great. I so enjoyed my time with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.